how to support expression. Expression is the expression of thoughts. You could be producing signs and speaking. Please do not use your words. I have heard this so many times, and it's not useful. It's not useful when a child or an adult has words to use. Don't worry, they will use them because words are economical, they are very effective. So when a child has words, don't worry, they will use them even if you don't say use your words. I mean, probably you are not saying it, that would be great, but if you are saying it, please do not say it because it really doesn't help and it will make the person feel worse about themselves. Now, how to support expression? Well, first we will look into give them space. Then we will look into give them scaffold. Scaffold is a very popular term in education, and when you provide a scaffold, it means you provide a structure to help their student or adult achieve something that then it's theirs. So then you can remove the support, okay? But they need that support to go beyond their current level. How you can do that? Well, we have a few techniques. One is modeled imitation. The other one is give alternatives. The other one is provide indirect modeling. The other one, close procedure, expansions, and finally, role reversal. So let's have a look into each of these areas. So give them space. Here we are coming back to what we were seeing before about establishing real communication. So please do not overwhelm them. And you will know what that means depending on the context. So it will mean do not speak too much, do not give too many instructions, do not overwhelm them, and you will use your common sense to decide what that means in each context. Now, give them time. We'll go back to this processing time. They will need time to process what you say, what you sign, and also to then answer back or to decide do they want to answer back. Finally, match pace and length. This will depend. When you're speaking, you should match the pace and length of what they can understand. If you're giving them a model of something to say, you should match the pace and length of what they can produce. So I'll repeat that again. So match the pace and length will depend on if you're working on what you are saying, you should be speaking and using Makaton at the level they can understand. If you're working on what you want them to copy from you, you should produce the signs and the lengths of sentences that they can produce. Next one. Now we're in the scaffold, modeled imitation. When we do modeled imitation, we model the language and give them the option to repeat. So for example, you can say, well, if you would like more juice, say more juice. And see, coming back to this thing I said before, this person in this example can only say 2 words. So, and can only sign 2 signs. So even if I am saying, if you would like more juice, say now, what I say between speech marks is more juice. That matches what they can actually say. The next scaffolding strategy is to provide alternatives. So if a student can't answer a question or they need to make a decision and they can't, or they're not doing it, you can give them the alternative. So let's have a look at it. So for example, you are offering your student or your client 2 things and you say, which one do you want? The client is not saying. And then, do you prefer the green or the black one? And then they might say the black one. Okay, and even if maybe they pointed it, you can even reinforce the language by saying, do you prefer the green or the black one? Now, another technique to provide scaffold is to do indirect modeling. In indirect modeling, you're using a statement that includes the language that the adult or the child will need. Now let's have an example here. So tell me if you need a pencil. Yeah, the need a pencil will be the model, and then the child or the adult can say, I need a pencil. Or for example, tell me if it's too cold. And they would say, it's too cold. Yeah, so you are not asking them to repeat directly, but you are giving them the language they may want to use. Another technique to provide scaffold is called close procedure. In here, you model a sentence and prompt a student or your client to use a similar sentence but with different words, normally a different ending. So, for example, you are looking at some pictures and you say, "Ooh, this girl is eating an apple, and this girl is eating a," and they could say a pear, or they could say, "This girl is eating a pear." For example, here you could say, "I am sitting on a table and you are sitting on a," and they could say chair, or they could say I'm sitting on a chair. The next way to provide scaffolds is to provide expansions. And with expansions, the aim really is just to expose the child or the client to a higher level of language. You're not expecting them that they will use it straight away, but you just want to expose them to that language. Expansions will be useful when they are about the same content as the first sentence. So, for example, if your child or adult that you're working with says water, an expansion would be, "You need water." Okay, see, so I'm adding a new word, need. However, if they said water and you say, "Oh, yeah, it's time now to have a drink because this and that, and oh, let's have some snacks as well," well, that's you're going off track and that's not being helpful. This turtle and the hook. Well, turtle because you should go just one little step above. Not too much, you're just making it slightly more complex. Why? Because if what you say has too many words that aren't familiar, you will lose their attention. You will not be able to hook their attention. The final technique we're going to see in this presentation is role reversals. Role reversals are really useful when giving directions and expecting the person you're working with to learn that language. So, for example, if you are learning to cook or you are learning about prepositions of place, role reversals are very useful. Let's have a look at an example. You say, "You put the flour in the bowl and then you add the eggs. Now you tell me what to do." And then it will be also quite a fun exercise. The person will say, "You put the flour in," and you do it, and add the eggs. This is also very useful with children using some games, building games. Yeah, so you get the child to tell you what to do. So imagine you build something, then you destroy it, and then you ask the child to explain it back to you. And remember, they can use words and signs at the same time. And that's the end of the presentation. So now, can you remember how to support expression? Try to explain briefly what each of these images mean. And if you can't remember, please go back to the presentation and watch it again.